Mark Golding has conceded he has not worked out the specific cost of all the spending proposals he has made in his budget presentation. On Tuesday, Mr. Golding warned the government against fiscal conservatism. That should be. On Tuesday, Mr. Golding warned the government against fiscal conservatism in light of the rising cost of living. He proposed $40 billion more in spending, capping the gas tax, removal of taxes on educational devices, and raising the tax threshold for importing personal items. Speaking on Radio Jamaica's Beyond the Headlines last evening, Mr. Golding insisted the government can afford to implement his proposals.
The government is budgeting for a primary surplus in the coming fiscal year of 5.9%. That's very high. And in normal times, I wouldn't have an issue with it because I think it's important that we continue the pathway towards debt reduction. But these are not normal times. I'm saying if you reduce that primary surplus to 4% of GDP, it is still very high by international standards, but it will provide some additional resources that could cushion the blow that is going to be visited very harshly on those that I just made reference to.
However, Mr. Golding said the full cost of each proposal would require further assessment.
If we allocate these resources to cover the type of social protections that I'm speaking of with up to 2% of GDP, the impact will be that the debt reduction this coming fiscal year, instead of being 9% of GDP or whatever it is, will be 7%. But it would, that is a decision that I think is prudent in this time in order to protect the population from what is going to be an extraordinary shock.
So the opposition actually hasn't done detailed analysis of what the proposals will mean then?
Well, in terms of the specific costs of some of the measures, that would need further analysis. But the overall envelope of funding, which I'm saying should be allocated towards additional social protection, is up to 2% of GDP, which I think is manageable.
Opposition leader Mark Golding.